Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, here's the thing. I plan on doing a video because this episode is pretty much going to be a prequel to a video that I'm working on where I'm talking on the development of Star Citizen. Because I refuse to believe that a video game's been in development for 12 years and this is where it's at, in the pre-alpha stage. You're not going to have a video game in development for 12 years and then it's only in the pre-alpha stage. I find that very, very hard to believe. So the thing is this. I am going to keep that game because usually by now I would have been trying to get my money back. But I'm like, you know what? I see something about this game and I feel that the developers, they also see that same thing, that this can be one of the biggest games in the world. I truly do believe that. I don't say that with a lot of different games. And that's the thing where it's like, I know in the future I would just go out and buy the game again, and I should just wait until the game is in a much more better state. But no, you know what? I'm going to take my chances. This is going to be the one time where I take a gamble on a game. All I am asking for in return, talking on Star Citizen, is that when the time does come, it overall needs to be a better game. And I'm like, that time, I'm, sorry to sound like John Cena, but that time is now. All right, because it's 12 years. Nah, that game should have been developed years ago. All right, or at least fully developed, halfway developed, but it shouldn't be in the beginning stages of development and things. So, but anyways, but what I wanted to talk on is video games, online video games having an offline mode, because here's the thing. I done played a lot of different online-only games before. Two games I can think of in particular is The Division and Destiny 1 and 2 and The Division 1 and 2. So, and then just to also throw that game in the mix, The Crew, or the series, The Crew 2 and The Crew Motorfest. Now, all of those games are all good games. I've put hours into all of those games. The Crew Motorfest, I have to say that being the latest, but probably out of all those games, Destiny 1 and The Division 1, those would probably be my go-to games when it comes down to just, like if I still have those games till this day. It's like I have The Division on my PC and I have Destiny 1 on my Xbox. And those are like, that's a game series where those are two video games where I'm like, man, I think I've talked on those games before, but I have to say them are some of the best video games I've ever played. It's like Destiny 1, just if I can take a minute to talk on that game, I just remember when that game very first hit the scenes and stuff. And me and my friends, we would spend hours. You had thought I was a content creator all the way back then. I was, but I wasn't serious about it. But I'm telling you right now, if I had been a content creator, I would have had a gang of Destiny content just of me playing that game, because Destiny 1 was fun, bro. It's one of those games where I'm like, man, I wish they would remaster it, with all the different, if they don't want to add no online stuff, cool, fine. I would 100% support that, but no, it's like even if they just added Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, I'm telling you, I feel like that's one of those games where I'm like, it doesn't need to be a lost video game. It doesn't need to be one of those games where we're remembering it. I feel like people till this day should still be playing. People do still be playing Destiny 1. That's a video game. It surprised me. I remember when I did go out and buy that game again, and there were still people playing it. Not I think, last time I played that game was, earlier this year. So yeah, I'm like, people, they still do play, Destiny 1. I just remember it was funny though, cause people, they were getting on me when I was, saying that Destiny 1 is better than Destiny 2. And, people they were so mad at me about saying that and things. And I'm like, fam, okay, well, I can tell you this much with Destiny 1, they didn't take out content just so they could add some other content to the game. I'm like, all the content that was in Destiny 1 when it originally released is still there. So that's why I'm like, you guys can get mad at me all you want, but I'm like, how many times did Destiny 2 remove some content from the game? I'm saying there's the original story, and then there was two other DLCs that they released where it's you could play, I think, missions from those DLCs, but you can't play the whole storyline that was explained during the time when the original game and the DLCs had came out. So I'm like, what was the point of me buying that stuff if the stuff wasn't going to exist like years later? And people were trying to defend that, and I'm like, there ain't no defense for that. I spent money on DLCs that I can't even play no more. There ain't no defense for that. So that is one thing that I will say, is that there's a lot of video games out there where they're fans. I've been heavy on this. You're going to mess around and get that company shut down. Because I'm like, you guys be wanting to defend actions where it's like, you know for a fact that if this would have been going on since the beginning of time with video games wouldn't last. So that's why I'm like, I ain't hearing nothing. When they be defending the video game and they know that there's something wrong with that video game, that I ain't hearing nothing that person got to say. Because I'm like, you and I both know that ain't normal. And that has not been going on since the beginning of time of video games, where they add content in there and they take content out at some point in time. That's not normal. Because if that had been going on, let's say if that had been going on with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, like the first mission that you get to play in the game, and then they just randomly decide to take that mission out. Do you honestly, though, I guarantee, and then that was just an ongoing thing with the game. They just took out missions in there. Eventually, it's a free roaming game. They ain't got no missions no more. I guarantee and I promise you, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas would not last. That game would have not been the big popular Grand Theft Auto that we all see till this day. So that's why I'm like, you and I both know that ain't normal. But at least I can say with the Division, I'm like, yeah, that was something that they never did, but one thing I remember, not so much with the Division, because the Division, I had to say, that was probably the first time I did play an online game where I ain't have no issues, unless it was me having internet issues. Other than that, I'm like, I never had no issues when it came down to connecting. At least I don't remember having no issues when it came down to connecting to the servers and stuff. But Destiny, on the other hand, I did have that issue. I had that issue in 1 and 2, where I'll be playing that game, and out of nowhere, it'll be like, connecting to Destiny 1 or Destiny 2 servers, and I'm like, fam, you would have thought that would have happened prior, before I even joined the game. Why is it just now connecting to the servers? And then at some point in time, it would just log me out of the game, and I'm like, fam, I'm not trying to be playing this game, get halfway through a mission, and then you guys done logged me out because of some servers. I'm like, if you guys need to come out with an offline mode, then do that. But I'm saying, I'm trying to play a game. I'm not trying to be dealing with no stuff like that. But they never did add it. But at the same time, it was like, it got to a point where it became rare to deal with that issue and things. Because I had to say I did deal with it a lot in Destiny 1. But when Destiny 2 had came out, I didn't really deal with it as much. And I was like, maybe I'm just joining the right servers or something. But yeah, it's like, it was rare when I had dealt with that compared to 1. It seemed like almost all the time when I turned that game on, I would have that issue. And I'm like, dang, bruh, can I just play the game in peace? But and I never had that issue in the Division. I was like, that had to say, Ubisoft, they might, be kind of weird when it comes to video game development, but that's one thing about it, is that they make sure of it, that them servers be working and stuff. So, and I know they do that, where it be like a server maintenance thing, and they shut the game down for a certain amount of hours. I was like, that's probably the only issue that I had with that, and I'm like, man, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, games like that have an offline mode, so at least then you guys can work on that server, and then I can play the game offline. I'm like, even if it is on some stuff where I might not get as much XP or get good guns or weapons if I played it offline compared to playing it offline, I'm like, or online, so be it, but it's like, I still want to be able to experience a game, so that's why I'm like, man, when they do that just strictly online stuff, I'm like, you gotta understand, there's people out there that ain't got good internet. So it's like, me at one point in time, like, that was the case for me. I didn't have good internet. I had to go out and get me a better, or a Wi-Fi box that was equipped for gaming, so I could get me better internet. And I still to this day don't know whether or not I'm doing the right thing, because I'm like, man, at times I'll find myself struggling with the video game, but I will have to, or maybe at some point in time, I will have to say now, I'm in a better spot when it comes to playing online games. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I shouldn't have to, like, and that was the issue, the whole main motivation behind this episode, is that earlier today I'm trying to play Star Citizen, and it's talking about I gotta wait until after 155 players queue in, and then I'll get a chance to play the game. My thing is this: you guys didn't have to wait 155 people or 105 people in line, because I remember the first time I dealt with that was 105 people. Today I deal with this 155 people. And I'm like, did you guys have to wait in line to take my money? So I'm like, why should I have to wait in line to play a video game? I'm saying the only time a person should have to wait in line to play a video game is when a video game is releasing and I'm trying to get a copy. Other than that, there shouldn't be no situation of me waiting in line. And I just remember the only other game that did that, and I'm like, that's a game that definitely needs an offline mode too and have some NPC or AI teammates, is Helldivers 2. Because I remember that was the case with that game when that game very first came out. And I'm like, look at all the criticism that game had faced when they had people doing that. And I'm like, and that's the thing that I do plan on mentioning in my Star Citizen video, is that's something where it's like, you don't see the reason. I personally believe the reason why that game don't exist on stores like Epic Games or Steam is because they know that people will be giving that game bad ratings. And that's what people were doing with Helldivers. They was giving that game bad ratings. And I'm like, because you have it where there's like, what? All these different people that's trying to play this game, but you guys got like 2 servers that's running. I'm like, and that's the thing where it's like, it shouldn't even be a situation where you guys got to come out with multiple servers just so people can play. No, what you guys need to do, you know that's going to be the number one issue. You guys need to either be coming out with a private server mode or an offline mode. And it shouldn't be something where a person got to wait a year or 2 after the game come out just so they can experience the game. No, that stuff needs to be coming out. What my thing is this: what's up with the idea of releasing unfinished video games? Because I get like when a game is in early access and it's when it's like a developer that's kind of testing the waters with a video game, but it's like at times I feel like that there's video games where it easily could have had the content. It just seemed like the developer just wanted to make as much money as they possibly could off of it and give us a bunch of promises. I'm not supporting video games for promises. I'm supporting video games so I can play a video game. And to me, it just trips me out when I look at video games. Because I'm trying to look at some that I got in my stack and things. I can't even find any. But anyways, like just going back to that PlayStation 2 era of video games, it was never a situation where a developer, and I'm like, point me into the direction, because let me just look that up real quick. I'm curious, was there ever a time where a PlayStation 2 game got released and it was in early access? Because that's unheard of. Alright, hold on for a second. Was there ever a time, why is the words not popping up? Like, dang, bruh. Was there ever a time when, okay, I'm honestly about to crash out on Google because I'm like, what's going on? It shouldn't take that long for no stuff to pop up. Now it's acting all slow. I hate when I be trying to look up stuff. I don't know what's going on with Google, but I'm like, you're going to have to fix your guys' platform, because I'm like, man, what is going on? Stuff acting all slow. But was there ever a time when a I swear, man, this is annoying. At this point, I'm just going to improvise, because I'm like, something's going on with Google where it's like everything's just typing slow, where a PS2 game was released in early access. Because I ain't never heard of that. No, there was never a time when a PS2 game was released in early access, as the concept of early access, where a game is released to the public, still under development, did not exist during the PlayStation 2 era. Early access became prevalent with the rise of digital distribution platforms like Steam, which came much later after the PS2 life cycle ended. So that's why I'm like, so all of a sudden, video game development gets a little bit easier, and you guys want to take advantage of that. And I'm like, that's something that's not worth taking advantage of, where it's like a person is just trying to play a video game, but it seems like I'm only playing like a portion of it. Like, yeah, a tech demo. And I'm like, man, there's things in video games where it's like, I feel like that when you went back and you looked at a video game from the PlayStation 2 era, like Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, for an example. And yeah, they did come out with a remix version, but I feel like that was just them adding more content to the game. It's all like, oh, it's like we forgot to add this stuff, so let's just come out, re-release the game, add some more music, add some more tracks, and add some more cars. That's something worth investing in. But it's like, imagine the content that they did add in the remix version, but that was the base game. And there's all like, oh, in order to get more content, you gotta go and buy this and do that. And it's, I guarantee and I promise you, Midnight Club, that would have been the last Midnight Club game to come out if they were doing the stuff that they're doing today. And I'm like, maybe Rockstar Games would be a bad example, because I feel like when they develop a game, they make sure that video game is fully developed. All right, now it's like, I have to say with Red Dead Redemption 2, that game did lack a little bit of some online content, but as far as everything else, I'm like, the game, it was a pretty decent and solid game. But I'm like, it's just one of those things where it's just, why can't all video games be like that? Why is it that I gotta play a game in parts? I ain't buy the game in parts, so why do I gotta play it in parts? It's things like that where I'm like, look, I get that video game development can be a difficult thing to get into, but if it is, then maybe you need to choose a different profession. But I'm like, if I'm out buying your guys' video game, I'm like, with some video games in early access, I can understand it. I can respect what they got going on and going about, because there have been times where I played games in early access where I'm like, are you guys sure that this is an early access game? Because I feel like I'm playing a full game. But I feel like there's people that take advantage of that, where it's like, oh, let's just release the bare minimum. And then at some point in time, let's just, release the full game. And I'm like, bro, then release the full game when that time does come. But don't make it seem like that you guys are releasing the full game now, and it's not even like a half of a video game. It's less than half of a video game. So that's why I'm like, man, where video game development is at right now, I'm like, going into the year 2025, a lot of video games need to improve. Because I'm like, man, I'm honestly feeling like I need to be like a video game assassin type dude, where I just make content on a bunch of different video games that's like, just they got some issues going on, making videos on these games until I'm like, because that's one thing that I just remember. I remember when the video game The Day Before came out, and I think we all remember when that video game came out. But anyways, for those that were like, you wasn't really into video games at that time, or didn't really pay attention to that video game. So anyways, The Day Before was pretty much this like zombie survival game, where it was going to be like, it looked like it was a Walking Dead simulator. It looked like it was going to be the greatest video game of all time, right? That game comes out, and out of nowhere, they decide to change it up. Didn't even consult with the fans, I had to say that company, because it was like F-N-tastic or something like that. I think they were either the developers or publishers, but regardless, they did not communicate with nobody when it came to that video game. So when they released it, instead of making it a zombie survival game, they made it a zombie extraction shooter. Two different types of genres. That's not the video game that people ask for. So it's like, fam, my thing is this. When you have it where there's a video game, if you make a promise, or if you got some video game in the works, and that, I have to say, that was probably the number one issue on why that game failed off, was just due to the lack of communication. They didn't care about nothing that people had to say about that video game. So, but anyways, the video game comes out. I remember playing it, and I had to say that was probably where my hatred, well, maybe I shouldn't say hatred, but my disliking towards extraction shooters had started, because I'm like, fam, not everything needs to be an extraction shooter. I'm like, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, you guys, I feel like they were just trying to do that as a cash grab, but it backfired on them. And I'm like, and it wasn't no cash grab. And a matter of fact, they actually had to refund everybody their money back for that video game. Because I'm like, you guys made a promise that this was going to be a zombie survival game. That game came out and it was an extraction shooter. And the crazy thing was like, and that's one of the main things, was that the game was an online only game. And so I remember when I tried playing it, I couldn't even get into a lobby. And then when I did, the game was buggy. It was glitchy. It honestly reminded me of where Star Citizen is at right now. And I'm like, man, that's something where I'm like, and I guarantee and I promise you, if Star Citizen would have been released on Steam, that game would have had bad ratings, and probably it would have been a situation where people would have had to get their money back. But I think them developers, I am going to talk on that game, but I think them developers, they played their moves right, and they released it on their own website, because they knew then, it's like, oh, okay, well, it can't be no stuff where it's like, we're forced to give everybody their money back. We know that there are going to be people out there that want to test out that game, but I'm like, man, it shouldn't be like that. Not with no video game. I'm like that. It's somewhere. It's like even just watching the news today. It's like they were talking. I can't remember what they were talking on, but it was like overall like unfinished products, and I'm like, man, it just seems like people, they get so comfortable with releasing unfinished products, and so I'm like, man, it just 2025. Like I said, if I gotta be some like video game assassin guy where I start putting companies in corners and asking them questions like, which do you guys got planned for your video games? And I'm not trying to be dealing with no companies where they want to be all, oh well, we ain't gonna communicate with somebody that ain't gonna support us. Well, I'm like, if that's the case, you guys got two choices: come out with something that's worth playing, or shut your video game down. Them the only two things that you got on the table. Because I guarantee and I promise you, I will find a video game. If it's a good video game at that too, I will do any and everything in my power that video game, and especially, whatever genre that exists. So if it's a space sim, if it's a first-person shooter, third-person shooter, racing game, if there's a game that exists, right? And it's in a bad state, like something like Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, but there's an open world video game made by some indie developers where they actually are listening to the fans. I would tell people to go out and play that game before they go out and play Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Same with Star Citizen, and same with any other game out there, because I'm getting so sick and tired of playing these video games and they halfway unfinished, and it's like, fam, for what? So anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Yeah, I think 2025 is definitely going to be a busy year for me when it comes to video games, because I'm getting so sick of it. I can't go another year with playing unfinished video games. I just can't. All right. So anyways, with that being said, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. Thank you guys, and peace.